course, as promised, that will re-establish connection with Mr. Joachim Vermooten regarding the issue of SAA having, suspended flights and expecting a 2 billion rand bailout. We were still talking here, Mr. Vermooten, and your answer concerning the issue that I asked you about whether or not this 2 billion rand will be an answer to all the problems of SAA. We can take it from there.
Okay, so basically SAA is under business rescue at the moment, and under those conditions it can be expected that they will have less support from the market than in other circumstances. And as a result, your passenger loads reduce, and you need to consider whether it is worthwhile operating certain flights. They have taken a decision to actually cancel certain flights and consolidate their services with that of Mango. And I have already passed over a number of aircraft, starting with 4 aircraft initially with Mango, and it's now up to 15 aircraft. So it is a good rationalization between the two. And it is a commercial decision done by the business rescue practitioners, which are on money constraints. They are waiting for certain post-commencement commitments from government. So it's a rational decision to actually reduce small load factor flights.
Yeah, Dr. Vermooten, if SAA has decided to sell aircraft with a book value worth 37 billion rand, and, this fleet, if it's bought by anyone, will it help plug the gaping financial hole that the airline has?
Yes, it will certainly assist SAA. SAA has already introduced newer aircraft, twin-engined aircraft, both A330s and A350s, and it's just a matter of time before they had to replace the older 4-engined A340 aircraft. So I would regard that as a normal transaction. It's a little late. They could have done it far earlier in anticipation for the introduction of the newer aircraft, but there are probably long-winded processes. So it is exiting the fleet of A340 aircraft and all associated equipment and engines and APUs.
So, Dr. Vermooten, I don't know if you've realized that every time when SAA is cutting on its long-haul flights, other airlines take over so that there should be consistency in terms of transporting or flying people who are coming to South Africa in and out of the country and so forth. Do you think that this has long-term implications in as far as the profitability of this airline, if it wants to get back in shape and reintroducing those airlines and getting back to flying on those routes?
Well, since 2006, when the airline strategy came into place, there has been a concerted effort for tourism and airports to actually stimulate additional flights by foreign airlines. Those have been very successful, and South Africa has enjoyed a very good growth in tourism factors. As opposed to that, they could have denied additional capacity in order to protect SAA, but that was not done because of the impact of tourism, which is an easy and a quicker way to actually stimulate economic activity. So the actions of SAA at the moment with the 340s only relate to surplus aircraft, so it's not involved in the disappearance of flights. It is actually adjusting because they have already introduced newer generation aircraft, and these aircraft are worthless to their needs.
All right, so your parting shot, what is your suggested solution for the problems experienced by SAA? How does this airline really get out of this quagmire in order to operate as like any other international airline?
Well, I think it is very true that South Africa as a government cannot continue paying 6 billion in losses per annum for SAA. We have many schools with inadequate facilities. We have a whole farming community that is in trouble, and we need food production as well. So there are many needs for the government, and to some extent the amount of 6 billion losses per annum is just not sustainable. So we need to reduce that, and hence the business rescue attempt. I should maybe mention that SAA was actually effectively restructured in the period from 2007 to 2009, and it produced 3 years of profits. And then in 2012, it was put on a different course of expansion, and as well as all kinds of intermediary contracts, procurement transactions, and a number of hanky-panky transactions of which we are aware from the Zondo Commission. So the result is that the present activity is too difficult to sustain. The government can't afford it, and you have to cut it back to where the company becomes controllable and where it's affordable. And then when it turns profitable, then one can expand again.
Right. Thank you very much for making time to speak to us via Skype. Aviation expert from the University of Johannesburg, Dr. Joachim Vermooten.